Joining us now is Tom Harwood, who is a reporter for Guido Fawkes, and Jason Arthur, who is a co-founder of For Our Future's Sake. Hello to you both.
Hi.
So, Prime Minister will be standing up very shortly indeed. What do you want her to say?
Well, ideally, I'd like her to say, ultimately, the promises that were made in 2016, her deal isn't going to deliver them. I doubt she will say that, but that's what I'd like her to say. And I'd like her to say, ultimately, if there's gridlock in Parliament, that it should go back to the people, because there's no majority for her deal. There's no majority for Norway Plus, however much Bowles or Kinnock want to talk about it. There's no majority for a no deal, which would be catastrophic for our economy and for our society. So we should absolutely go back to the people with the option to remain, so that people can take the decision, because our politicians can no longer do so.
I don't think that's quite true. There isn't a majority in Parliament for a second referendum either. It's a very small group of parliamentarians who want to throw away the wishes of 17.4 million people. Really what Theresa May should do tomorrow is, rather in about 10 minutes, is stand there in front of the dispatch box and say, the EU has been behaving as a bully. They have ridiculed me, they have diminished this nation, and really we should walk away. I'm going to come back, I'm going to sit in number 10 and wait for the EU to come to us. And in the meantime, we'll plan full on for no deal. We'll be ready to leave on the 29th of March 2019.
So look, Brexit Day is just over 100 days away. It is now time for fantasy politics to end. This idea that we just go back to the EU and say, look, you're not giving us what we want, so if you don't give us what we want, we're just going to walk away and they're going to suddenly cede to our demands, or that if we do that, that's not going to deliver lasting damage to our economy, is complete fantasy. And look, you're absolutely right to say that MPs at the moment, there isn't a majority for a people's vote. But here's the difference. There isn't a majority for all of the options that I just referred to. And when that becomes clear, and it's becoming clearer every day, MPs will have a decision. They will either have to decide to go for a catastrophic no deal, which there isn't a majority for, or they can say, let's trust the people, go back to them. There's clarity now on what actually Brexit means. Cakeism has gone. We're not suddenly going to leave a relationship that we've been in for 40 years and there'd be no pain. And at that point, the people should have the option to change their minds if that's what they want to do.
This is extraordinary. We've seen poll after poll after poll has shown that the idea of Brexit is still on a knife edge in this country. We've had 3 in the last 2 months that say actually no deal even beats out Remain. It's ridiculous. It's a fantasy to say that people have changed their minds. People like you who voted Remain and the people who run your campaign for a second referendum, who all voted Remain, have not changed their minds, and they want to crush over, they want to steamroller the votes of many people who had never voted before until they voted in that election. And actually, what's really important is that it is the law of the land that we're leaving on the 29th of March 2019. If nothing happens, we leave the EU. Parliament voted to leave the EU. The people voted for the EU. 80% of the people voted for parties that said we're going to leave the EU, and now you want to throw all of that away. It's extraordinary. The contempt that your campaign has for the wishes of people of this country. Oh, they're too stupid. They didn't understand. Everything's changed. Well, actually, the fact of the matter is that the people that you all point to that say no deal is going to be a disaster are the same people who said that voting to leave the EU would be a disaster, and it hasn't been. Employment's up. Wages are up. We're seeing FDI at record levels.
OK, with that, you must give way to the Prime Minister.
I would like to make a statement on last week's